Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. In this, our November 27th, 2018 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including the 40th anniversary screenings of Superman the movie. We're going to be talking about the latest Supergirl episode, the upcoming Elseworlds crossover, and so much more. We'll also be turning to you to ask your questions or get your questions and comments on any particular Superman, Supergirl, or Young Justice even topic that you would like to discuss, and let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show. Let me introduce you to my guest co-host, Mr. Neil Bailey. Hey, Neil.
Hello, everybody. So if you're watching this live, you're either doing it via our Facebook page or directly on our website. So seeing as how we are beaming this live across the internet and therefore around the planet Houston, we'd love to hear from Superman fans right across the world. So to call in and talk to us, you need to set up Skype. Open up Skype, search for Superman Homepage, and send us a message saying you'd like to chat with us live tonight, and we'll try to get you on the second half, get you in on the second half hour of the show.
Yes, that's right. And now for those of you tuning in live via Facebook to watch tonight's show, below or next to that video, we invite you to post your comments and ask questions, and Neil and I will keep an eye on those comments throughout the show to react to them as necessary. And a huge thank you to our sponsor and patron, Douglas Meacham. Now, thank you, Neil, for joining us tonight. It feels like the good old days.
Yeah, it's great to be back. Popped out of the Phantom Zone for a little while. Didn't see Zod. I see he's doing a column, so that makes sense. But, you know, I'll pop back in when it's all over and do my thing.
Yeah, well, it's great for you to join us tonight. For those wondering where Michael Bailey is, Michael is at one of the screenings of Superman the movie there in Atlanta, Georgia. He's with his wife at one of the theaters, very much watching the movie, and if time allows, he will try to call us and be part of tonight's show and let us know live via his phone where he's been at that theater and what it was like to watch Superman the movie on the big screen after all these years. So lucky him.
Yes, no, I envy him. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, is there any theaters in your area that are screening the movie?
There probably are. I've just been crazy busy lately, so what I did was I substituted. I took my boy Milo and we sat down and we watched the official version on the big screen television and cranked it all up and did that thing where you're like, nothing is going to interrupt this, and it was pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm. People are asking about your button there.
My button. Oh, yes, yeah. I got this, actually, at Geek Girl Con. It's an anti-Nazi button because, you know, it seems like a no-brainer, but it seems like it has to be said out loud these days. So I've got my universal sign of the no with the swastika, just to let everybody know that a polite society is not going to deal with fascists. So, you know. Very
good. You know, never let Neil miss an opportunity to make a statement.
No, I'm usually not incredibly political. This is just my little quiet thing, but we'll be talking about politics later in the show, will we not?
Yes, 100% we will too. And so before we get into tonight's topics, I often get asked from time to time, you know, where is Neil Bailey these days? What has he been doing? Yes. Why isn't he part of the site? And you are kind of sneakily part of the site. We won't kind of give away too much, but right. You've been, as you said, very busy writing. What are you doing these days?
Well, I'm kind of quietly doing things in the background. Since I split, I've been making books. I got, just coincidentally, I've got a novel called Muscle and Blood, which is kind of a two-fisted trailer park thing. And I've got this book called Glory, which is about a young lady in New York dealing with archons and immortal beings. It's kind of I call it mystical noir, but it might be classified as urban fantasy. Mm-hmm. And then I got this comic called The Domain, which is, you know, this is the print version, but it's a digital thing. You can find it on Patreon. I'm very glad that I just had those sitting there on my desk. It sounds like that was very calculated, but I just kind of got lucky. Because, you know, I've been sending them out to people lately. We finally printed them up. But yeah, I've been basically writing. And I'm still doing essay style stuff and the kind of stuff that I did for the Superman homepage occasionally. Mm-hmm. And some secret projects, but, you know, I work a little bit behind the scenes at the Superman homepage, but less editorial, more because I kind of fell more into I want to really have something important to say, and after about 1,000 articles, there's less to kind of push, but, you know, I'm making my way back in slowly when I feel I have things to say, and I miss being here. It's not for, like, any acrimony or anything. No. I love the site. I love the site now, so.
Cool. Yeah, great. Well, it's great to have you filling in tonight, and as I said, we push into our many topics that we have to discuss tonight. And I don't think we didn't. No, it was during the week. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody who celebrated Thanksgiving there in the US, including yourself. It's not something we do here in Australia, and it's a very much an American holiday. I know Canadians have their own Thanksgiving at a different time of the year, but the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade was on again this year in New York. My niece happened to be over there for the parade, so she was taking photos of some of the massive balloons that go through on the parade. And sadly, no Superman again this year, but Superman has been a part of the parade for many years, back dating to 1939, where his balloon needed to be held by 40 or 50 people, so large.
It makes sense. It's that Kryptonian density.
Let's have a look at that 1939 balloon. Look, just to give a... So there you have it. There's this huge balloon. There's no audio on this video, which I believe was shot by Jerry Siegel himself. Nice. So a massive balloon there in New York, the Macy's Parade back in 1939. Very much a golden age Superman there, and an amazing bit of footage there to be able to get that in from a historical point of view.
Yeah, he looks a little bit like his expression is fixed in place, but dang, is that cool.
So yeah, the Macy Thanksgiving Day Parade, no Superman again this year, but very cool to see that Superman has been part of the parade, and has the record for the largest Superman balloon ever. And I think because restrictions now are put in place, there will never be a balloon that will match the 104 foot balloon that was the largest ever balloon, and a Superman balloon at that, back in I think it might have been the 1980s or some point in time there. I think it might have been 1980s.
Yeah, makes sense. I kind of remember that very vaguely. I was very young, but I think I remember seeing it.
There you go. So yeah, happy Thanksgiving to all those who celebrated it last week. All right, well, you are on the last episode of November, and as people know, we like to do our regular monthly segments, so it's probably smart to get those done now before we maybe run out of time later on. So let's start with the big question, which I will play the intro for right now.
Let's start with the big question.
Yes, and the big question from last month's WGBS TV live show was the question, is the Supergirl TV series too political? And we have a number of respondents. Do you want to give us your opinion? I'm not sure if you're even watching Supergirl at the moment.
I watch occasionally. I haven't watched a whole incredible amount, but it's definitely something that I want to watch all the way through. It's more a matter of work and time. But I think that among all of the CW shows that I've seen, it seems like the most bright and idealistic and optimistic. And Flash is pretty good too there. Yeah. But I really do like it, and I think that saying that a thing is too political seems like a buzzy catchword of basically being like, I don't like this because it's saying something that challenges me. And sometimes it challenges people well, and sometimes it challenges people poorly. But the reality, speaking as a guy who makes books and has to deal with this kind of stuff, people are like, whoa, why did you say that? Why did you do that? I know from experience that people try to quiet voices that way. And the reality is that almost every piece of media, from the most benign piece of pablum to the most complicated statements, is political by necessity. It almost has to be. I mean, you get something like Supergirl. I mean, you're watching a show that's about a girl version of Superman. Just the name of the character is a political statement, whether you agree with it or whether you don't. And that the show that makes a statement like that explores some of these things and people get all up in arms about it. It's kind of, it's like, it seems like, it's weird. It's like it's a choice to look at this specific part of the story or this specific thing, like people making a political statement in the show versus say, like, they don't raise any problem that we're talking about human beings that levitate into air, or people who, shoot fire from their eyes, or people who have names like U.S. agent. But, so there's my perspective on it. My perspective is like, I would rather see people be as political as they can in an artful framework than be like, oh, well, let's keep that out of it. That's me.
All right. So, who's our first respondent for this question?
Well, we got Ron Crosby, and he writes, afraid to admit, I do think the show is too political. From the start with the feminism, Cat Grant was the big shot owner of Catco, a female president of the U.S., Lena better than Lex, Supergirl better than Superman, not to mention poor Martian Manhunter. I think I even recall God being referred to as a she. When my wife says it's too much with the girl power, it's too much. And the political stuff just got worse since. If they toned it back, it would be a better show and probably help their cause. Well,
thank you, Ron. Thanks for your opinion. From my point of view, I do sometimes, as people are saying in the comments on Facebook, that it's a little bit ham-fisted, that they're overly gung-ho with the comments and things, sometimes kind of shoving it down your throat. But I don't mind the political aspects of it, especially when they're bringing up social injustice and things like that, which Superman characters have always been about back since 1939 in Action Comics #1, where Superman was very much went to rescue a woman who was being bashed by her husband. So it's always been a very Superman and the characters have always been about social justice. So moving on, Ian Jiggle wrote, no, not at all. Does it push forward a message of inclusion and acceptance of all? Is it fairly heavy-handed in the judge by quality of a character, not characteristic? Sure, on both accounts, but this does not make it a political message. It is also pretty consistent with superhero behaviour from every medium since the 1930s. Paraphrase Mr. Bailey on WGBS TV Live, too political is now just a way of saying, I don't agree with that. And he's referring to Michael, not yourself. No relation.
Yes, but well said. I mean, he has a point. Thinking about this, it seems like what they're trying to do is I think they're trying to state something that's a valid concern. You don't want to hammer a nail too hard. You don't want to just beat people over the head with a concept, because that's bad storytelling. But if it's done well, there's every place for politics in these kinds of things. It's like when people say they want a realistic superhero, they just want a realized world.
Yeah. Okay, next up.
Well, Justin Suarez writes, at the moment, Supergirl, the TV series, may be pulling on some touchy strings, but it's just another episode until another arises. But hey, having a Supergirl TV series is better than no series at all, and no one is forced to watch it. Good point. We all know that these are things that should not be discussed at a dinner table, religion and politics, so pass the salt and enjoy your meal. So people keep calm and enjoy the show and have a super life the best you can. Cheers, Justin.
Thank you, Justin. Very fair-minded kind of opinion there. Tina Murray, who's one of our live listeners at the moment, writes in. She says, I don't think Supergirl is too political because TV shows and even movies usually reflect the time period it's produced in. Right now, politics are at the forefront of American pop culture because of events that have occurred in the last couple of years. The Supergirl writers have done great with not being politically biased to one political party. They are simply trying to convey a positive message that now is the time to talk, not fight. After all, cooler heads prevail. This is a message I can support. Yeah, nicely said.
Okay, and John Patrick Van Pelt writes, yes, at this present time, I should say, intonation matters. Because I thought before the season had started that they promised that they would not get too political this season, and I hope that the rest of the season we can watch Supergirl be more entertaining and fun starting in the second half of the season, and I am not including the Elseworlds crossover.
Well, thank you, John. It's a lot of mixed opinions there. Some people thinking it is too political, others thinking not. And our last respondent, Henry Bernstein, writes in and says it's definitely political, sometimes a bit heavy-handed, but I'll take my heroes actually standing for something and being political, then not at all. And I think that's a good point to end on.
Yes, indeed.
Excellent. Well, thank you to everyone who responded to last month's big question. What is our new big question for the upcoming month, Neil?
Well, we have the question, did you attend a Fathom Events 40th anniversary screening of Superman the movie? And if so, what was it like? Share your experience with us.
Yes, get involved with the big question segment of our show by filling out the big question feedback form found at the Superman homepage. You'll find it under the Contact Us menu and send your response in. We will read them out at the end of December, probably a little bit earlier than the end of December with Christmas and everything coming up, but we'll announce those dates as the next couple of weeks go by. But so get in quick, get in early, get involved with the big questions segment of our show, and we'll read out your answers when we do that in December.
Sounds like it's going to be a lot less political this time, unless they go to a theater and meet a chucklehead like me with a button.
Exactly. All right, well, let's jump straight into the super secret soundbite. Here's our intro.
The one thing alive with less than 4 legs can hear this frequency, Superman, and that's you.
Yes, the super secret soundbite. Last month's sound came from the season 1 of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. Can't recall the exact episode, but let's hear it again to remind everyone what it was.
Lois, I want you to go out with me.
Well, that's Clark saying, Lois, I want you to go out with me. And we only had 2 people guess it right. Who were they, Neil?
Well, we have Justin Suarez and Todd Anderson. Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, well done to both of you for guessing where in the world of Superman that sound came from. Let's see if more people can guess where in the world of Superman this new super secret soundbite comes from.
First, never touch any appliance without a parent's supervision.
It's an interesting one. I think we might have got a little bit of a flash of an image there, which I just keep trying to forget to kind of pull out. I'll fix that next month. Don't worry about that. But if you think you know where in the world of Superman that sound came from, get involved in the super secret soundbite segment of our show. Head to the Superman homepage website. Under the Contact Us menu, you'll find the super secret soundbite entry form, and you'll be able to send in your entry, and we'll read out the names of everyone who guesses it right when we get back to these segments sometime in late December. So get involved.
Cool. I miss Lois and Clark. That was that show. That was the first one where they actually did the marriage in any kind of story capacity, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they tried to coincide it with the comic book marriage, which was happening at the time, which I believe they delayed the death of Superman's story to get the marriage thing done, and well, no, the other way around. They delayed the comic book story so they could push it together with the television series, and that's why they did the death of Superman story earlier on.
Easy to forget. Everybody takes it for granted now, but it used to be a novel concept.
Yeah, 100%. It was very controversial at the time, but now everyone's gung-ho about making sure Lois and Clark stay together, because there's always these rumours about new writers pulling them apart, and people are going crazy about that concept. But, no, not at all. All right, well...
That's political.
Yeah, that's right. Let's push on with our topics of the week, and in movie news, as I was mentioning, Superman the movie 40th anniversary screenings have been taking place across the USA, sadly no other places in the world, and not necessarily in all places within the USA. I know quite a few people. Douglas Meacham, one of our sponsors and patrons, sadly couldn't find a theatre near him that was showing the screening of Superman the movie, so I ended up just watching it at home. But as we said, Michael Bailey is right there now watching the tonight's screening of Superman the movie, and it's fantastic to see so many fans sending us their photos of their involvement at these events. I'm just going to flash to some of those photos right now. We've got our own Patrick Van Pelt in the who's one of our live listeners, our regular listeners. They're wearing a Superman or Superfan homepage T-shirt at the screening there with a family member, so excellent to see him there. Other photos coming up now from people who have posted them on Facebook, put their feet up. I think it looks like he's on his own there in that one. There's nobody. Wait till one of the attendants come in and ask him to put his feet down off the chair. Then we've got other people collecting their popcorn and their drinks before the 2 p.m. showing there, and that's the auditorium screen there showing the seats that are available and what have you for these screenings. And there is only one left other than tonight, November 27th. There is another one on December 3rd. So make sure you, if you haven't had a chance and you have a theatre near you, head to fathomevents.com to purchase tickets or ask at your local theatre, because this is a historical moment where to watch the 4K Ultra HD surround sound Superman the movie on the big screen with an audience. Hopefully there are other people in the theatre with you, not like that other guy with his feet up on the seat. That, it doesn't matter how many times you've seen it, seeing it on the big screen, seeing it with other people in the audience, it's an experience in itself.
Sounds like a lot of fun. I'm sad you don't get to see it, Steve, but don't worry. They have to do it for Superman 2 because Australia factors so much into the plot. So
Australia.
Yeah.
So
it's not a tiny little place.
No. So let's hope that more people can get to the December 3rd screening if they missed out on any of the other ones that have happened so far. And Retro Fan number 3, the magazine published by Tomorrow's Publications, has their Winter 2018 edition of Retro Fan out, number 3, as I said, celebrating the 40th anniversary of Superman the movie, which there's the cover to the magazine right there, and it includes a exclusive interview with director Richard Donner, who discusses his love of comic books. He says it was escapism. I mean, we were kids. We'd come home from school after playing in the yard or somewhere on the school grounds, and our reading material would be whatever the newest comic book was that came out. I don't know if it's going on today. Today it's TV instead, but it was a comic book, and every page was a phenomenal one to turn, and he lived the fantasies between Superman and other heroes. It was fantastic, he said. So, those are the days, when you would come home and read comic books and not necessarily get onto the TV, which is probably more his generation and our generation. And that today it's more video games and iPhones and iPods for today's generation.
Yeah, I'm hoping to fix that with my kiddo, but, it's a losing battle sometimes. But it was always great going to the library and getting a stack of like 60 comics and then just plowing through them just completely out of context. It puts you into whole new worlds, and I think that Superman is chief among those, obviously.
Yes, 100%. And the spinner racks are a thing of the past in many cases, with people not even probably knowing what they were, but you'd go to your local supermarket and there'd be the spinner rack there of the comic books, and today it's specialty comic book stores, which are a dying breed in and of themselves.
Yeah. Specialty comic stores were even taken over when I started reading a little bit heavier with the death of Superman. But even so, like, to get some issues that had sold out, I had to go to the 7-Eleven or or places with spinner racks, and you just hunt through and hope no one had gone like this over and over and over again and bent them over, because that would just make them, completely ratty. But you get lucky sometimes and you find the story you missed, and there was no other way because no internet.
Yeah, exactly. So, yep, that was the times of back then when you could do that, and as he said, he enjoyed reading the comic books, and it's great to, if you want to pick up that magazine, tomorrows.com.au, and that's TWO Morrows, as in two of them, Morrows. So head to tomorrows.com to purchase that magazine. Now that's really the only movie news we have. There's nothing a lot these days in regards to Superman movies. But there was a fan movie that was released this week based on The Eradicator, a very short film. And I know you watched it with some, I won't say disdain, but you weren't that impressed.
It was a little bit. I wouldn't say I didn't like it, but there was a bit of a hammy quality to it to agree. And sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. It might be an issue of taste, but I love the costume design. Mm-hmm. I thought the effects were pretty darn cool, and I got a real kick out of seeing the actual comic come to life, however rendered on screen, because it was just, you imagine it in your head, at least I did when I was first getting into comics, and, you hope to see it like at least at some point on the screen or in some other form. And, it's neat. Everybody has their own interpretation.
Yeah, I'm just going to try to show some of it now. I'm just trying to find the, drop the volume on it there so that we can kind of talk as it's going on in the background. But it's created by a filmmaker called Chris Notarile, who says it's very much lifted from the pages of Action Comics, direct interpretation of the reign of the Superman's Eradicator, and the scenes there show, the movie in the background there, and you've got the Eradicator, which, look, based on what their budget was and what they have, their capabilities. I'm just going to forward through a little bit to get to some of the scenes with the Eradicator there. The special effects are not too bad. The acting leaves a little bit to be desired, but all in all, I don't think they had mobile phones necessarily in the story, in the Action Comics, but he says in his little excerpt there that he very much kind of based it a little bit on the attitudes of I'm trying to think, just like the where is it here? Just looking through. Like a Terminator type AI that is very much emotionless. So, more power to him for creating these fan films.
It's kind of neat how it even without actually going back to the comic books, I kind of see the images from the original comic in my head and hear the lines from so long ago and reading it. So that shows that it was at very least effective in doing what it was trying to do, which is give you that feeling of the original comic.
Yep, for sure. So that's pretty much all we have in movie news. We're going to about the halfway point of tonight's program. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to play some messages, and then on the flip side from these messages, we're going to be talking TV stuff with Supergirl and Young Justice Outsiders. So we'll be back right after these messages.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer, the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Just try one. If you don't like it, it's easy to give up.
Uh-oh, nicotine. I'd better move fast. Up and away!
Go on, kid, go on.
Superman, is it hard to give up smoking, or is it easy like nicotine says?
You no good windbag, nicotine.
No, Superman. Leave me one. Please, I need one.
That's how hard it is. That's why I never say yes to a cigarette.
Yes, never say yes to a cigarette. Isn't that right, Neil?
That's absolutely right. Superman didn't teach me that, but I listened to him because he crushed that thing like it was somebody's skull.
So there you have it. All right, as I said, we're going to talk TV stuff now. And the latest episode of Supergirl aired in the US on Sunday night and here on Monday night in Australia. And it was titled Rather the Fallen Angel. Now, Michael Bailey wrote the review for this episode for our website, and he gave it a 5 out of 5, saying that he really enjoyed this episode, and as did I. I know you haven't seen it, but Manchester Black took the turn from what we were thinking of him being as a hero, and while he's kind of walking the anti-hero line, as you know, the comic books pretty similarly he was. Here he was a friend turned foe, but he's still on the side of good, but just has his own ways of going about it. And if Supergirl gets in his way, well, then he'll be happy to use her as a tool to reach his agenda, to reach the goals that he's set as far as what he believes justice and should be. And it was a well-written episode. There were a few things that took me out of the episode, like at one point, these agents of Liberty use these chains to capture Supergirl when she's depowered. They just seem to throw them, and the chains just happen to wrap around her each wrist and then each leg. It's like they had magnets somehow that would find the area. It was just, I was like, how do you do that? I was kind of bemused.
You know me and my history of reviewing. Normally I would savage something like that, but now that I've had, you know, now that there's a child that in my life and he's 5 years old, I know for a fact that unless you learn to throw a chain like that, you can't slow him down. So I think it's possible. I think you might want to give that a second look. But generally speaking, yeah, that sounds a little implausible. I saw it on the preview. I did see the preview, and I'm going to eventually watch the episode because Manchester Black. I mean, you know, next to Superman Prime, there's no clearer, like, this is a statement about being a fan and what it means, you know, and what it should not mean than Manchester Black. So I'm cool. It's cool that they're putting that in there. And U.S. Agent too, is that what I saw?
Agent Liberty.
Agent Liberty. Oh, okay. I see. Yeah. I got that all backwards. U.S. Agent is a Marvel thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but well, they're using Agent Liberty, and Michael is very upset at the fact that while he's enjoying the story, Agent Liberty in the comic books is not a villain, but Sam Witwer is stealing the show as the guy who's behind the mask of Agent Liberty. While he didn't have a huge role in this particular episode, his acting is just fantastic, and he's really just lifting this show as far as guest appearances are concerned and guest casts are concerned. And the guy who plays Manchester Black is pretty cool as well, David Ajala. He does a great job with the role, and he has this whole. Everyone seems to have these mechanical chest things that you just touch them and they all of a sudden are a suit of armor, and yet he had one of these tonight or in this episode as well, which was a cool a moment, but you just wonder where they all get their gadgets from. But nevertheless, it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. It put James Olsen in a precarious position. The whole story with what Lena Luthor is trying to do with this technology that she's trying to give humans superpowers is an interesting story, especially the relationship she formed with her test subject, who she tried to just treat as a number, but ended up becoming personally involved and formed a relationship, not a sexual relationship or any kind of a romantic relationship, but a friendship with this person that made it difficult for her to see him just as a test subject. It was an interesting moment.
The foil of any Luthor humanity.
Yes.
So is this the Witwer who did the Bloomsday?
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, this guy has had a heck of an arc then. He's gone from and Doomsday wasn't so bad. It was the writing more than his acting, the Bloomsday thing. But seeing him go do all that Star Wars stuff and the Walking Dead stuff and now going into this, it's cool. It's nice to watch him from the beginning. So.
Yeah, for sure. Now we have the promo for this coming week's episode, which is called Bunker Hill. So let's check out that video trailer right now.
I can dream the future.
Nia might be able to lead us, Agent Liberty.
I think I need your help.
What could go wrong?
Brainy?
Hey, girl.
Oh!
You have nothing to worry about.
Oh my God, no!
Supergirl, all new this Sunday at 8/7 Central on the CW.
So there you have it. That is the episode coming up. Bunker Hill, it's titled. It will air on Sunday, December 2nd, and it says, Nia has a powerful dream about Agent Liberty, but refuses to look at it as a prophetic dream and pushes it aside. After noticing something is bothering Nia, Kara enlists Brainy's help, and the two try to persuade Nia to embrace her destiny. Meanwhile, Manchester Black pays Ben Lockwood a menacing visit. Now, Nia, for yourself, Neil, if you're not sure, she's this new transgender character that's been introduced to the show, who appears to have abilities to see the future through her dreams, which is very much a kind of precursor to a character that Brainy will know in the Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah, I'd heard about that. That's actually cool. Now, was I seeing that right? Did she actually do the Superman flick thing to knock a person out?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because I think she did that early in the show, right? Didn't I see one of those?
Yes,
That's great.
Yes, it is cool. So,
yeah, introducing a character like that is awesome. Is it going over well? Is it a good character?
Yeah, well, they haven't said too much about her being transgender at this point in time. It has been a slight mention, but it's not been a massive story plot at this point in time. There are so many plot threads that we're waiting for them to kind of pick up on. In the beginning of the season, we had this Supergirl that this doppelganger that landed in Russia of Supergirl, and we're expecting this Red Son or Red Daughter story to play out in the second half of this season. We've got what I want to get your opinion on. John Cryer coming on as Lex Luthor later this year.
I have thoughts.
Yeah, well, what do you think of that?
Oh, honestly, that was the first piece of news that I read on the Superman homepage in a long time, where I stepped back from the computer and went, what? And I had to explain it to people, because it's one of those, things where you're like, how could that be? I didn't know he was the guy on 2.5 Men. All I knew him as was Lenny. And I'm like explaining. So no, Lenny, you don't understand. It's like the car. He's like a California guy, and he's Luthor's weird cousin. And you have to see it to understand it. And, And then you see the picture, like, the one that was just up there, where he's bald and he actually looks like Luthor. And you're wondering, wait a minute, you go back to 7-year-old Neil and find him and say to him, yeah, see that guy right there? The part of the movie that even you at 7 don't like? That's going to be a Luthor, and it's going to be a Luthor you want to see. And you're going to live to 40. What? But I don't know. I'm 38. I don't know that I'm going to live to 40. That's my assumption. But the point being, this is weird, and I don't know how to react to it, and I kind of love it, and I'm scared too. But the fact that they're saying it's going to be a serious take and not just like Lenny Light, it could be pretty cool.
Yeah, well, Kevin Smith, who's been director on Supergirl and is directing another episode coming up, said on his Hollywood Babylon podcast that they're looking to do a dark take on Lex Luthor. Even though they were always looking for John Cryer to be cast in the role, this is going to be, it's not humorous, it's a dark turn, he says. So I guess for those who are concerned, because they either know him as Lenny or because they know him from 2.5 Men, both comedic roles, I'm sure if they want a dark turn, that John Cryer can do a dark character. And if anything, being the fact that he's been a comedian, probably help him stretch his legs and do something that will make people realize that he can be a serious actor.
Yeah, and it's always a mistake to assume that just because someone does something funny, they can't do anything serious. Yeah. I mean, Hollywood and stories are full of people who have gone the funny route who then turn, because there's a certain pathos that comes with comedy that people kind of miss, and you can turn, and these are professional actors. I'm excited to see it. I don't know if there's better casting, but I think he's going to do a decent job just from the fact that he's clearly got chops. He's still acting after 30 years.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I know there are a lot of people opposed to the idea, and people in the comments are, Helmuth is like, why? And please, David saying, David saying, please, not John Cryer, but, as Tina's saying, let's give him a chance.
It could smack of stunt casting, but then again, sometimes people do it with the most gravitas that they can possibly have, and you get a situation like, the Justice League Luthor, or rather the Batman v Superman Luthor, where it's like, even though this seems like a very solid actor with a solid pedigree, people get divided and they don't know how to look at it. Some people like it, some people don't. It's not, it wasn't salvaged because he didn't do comedy before.
No, like 100%. Now, this Bunker Hill episode is the final one until the Elseworlds crossover event, which I'm very excited about, and we now have a full official trailer for. So let's play that now and then get some feedback and thoughts on that once we've played this Elseworlds official promo.
Something is wrong with reality.
I love you, Barry Allen.
Everyone on Earth thinks we're each other. You did this to us. You can undo it.
Why would I want to?
What's happening?
He's rewriting reality again.
Enough! You will not do to this Earth what you did to mine.
I offered you godhood.
Show them what a real god can do.
Elseworlds. The 3-night crossover event starts Sunday, December 9th on the CW.
So there you have it, the Elseworlds crossover promo. So much to take in there. You've got the 1990s Flash, you've got Superman, you've got Black Superman, as in black outfit Superman, you've got Supergirl, you've got Barry Allen and you got the Flash and Arrow swapping bodies that nobody else knows, but they know. You've got the Monitor. Just so much to look forward to.
You got
3 nights.
The Smallville farm,
yes.
And the number one trope of any alternate world story, the other version of a character that has a beard. You know, I mean, honestly, outside of the context of having not watched all of these shows, this makes me go, I want to see this, even if it's just a one-off. So that means that it's incredibly effective just for that alone.
100%. And Tyler Hoechlin back as Superman and this alternate black costume Superman. You've got Elizabeth Tulloch playing Lois Lane. Just so much to kind of look forward to in this 3-night crossover event, which will begin Sunday, December 9th, continue Monday, December 10th, and conclude Tuesday, December 11th. 3 nights. Cannot wait.
Now, has the 90s this is the first time the 90s Flash has appeared in anything since the 90s Flash, right?
Correct. I mean, the actor John Wesley Shipp he is playing the father, or has played the father of Barry Allen in this TV series, and has appeared as the Golden Age Flash, if you like, with the helmet and everything. But this is his actual character from the 1990s Flash TV series, now in this reality. It's just, and the costume, they've just matched it perfectly.
Yeah, I may have recorded that on VHS a time or two and watched and rewatched and rewatched.
I bought the season DVD. That was how much I loved it. And sadly, it only went for that one season, but it had a cult following.
So this is what you do. You get back in your time machine, you go back to to 1990 Neil instead of 1987 Neil. Yeah, that Flash show, it's not going to last very long, but it's still going to somehow be on the air in 2018. You're going to see this character in 2018. And then younger Neil will be like, I'm alive in 2018. Yes, and Donald Trump's the president. Have a good night. Back in the time machine.
Oh, God help us. All right, well, that's what's happening with the CW's TV shows. Looking forward to that very much. But what's your thoughts on the DC Universe digital streaming service? I know, money is always an issue when it comes to new services that you have to pick up or whatever, but there's so much to be said for this digital streaming service that DC have come out with that I wish it was here in Australia.
Yeah, I think it's a dang good idea, and I think the impulse that all these companies with media seem to be having to be like, let's take everything we do and make it for one cheap price so that everybody can get as much as they want is great. I think that my worry about it is the same one. Like, I'm looking at this new Star Trek series and I'm doing the same thing. Like, I don't want to pay for another service, and you lose track of them, and you got 18 of them, and so it's going to be like people are going to have to either catalog them or make a choice. And I worry about people there being a glut of it, and because there's such a glut of it, not enough people sign up, and they'll be like MMOs. It's like they have this great concept and then it crashes because there's no critical mass to sustain it. But on the other hand, I mean, I don't see how, given that most of their back catalog is something that they don't have to pay any money for, and most of their back catalog is something that they can just put online because it's work for hire, I don't see how they can't sustain it. So I think that this thing is probably more, you can keep it up more likely than, say, like a CBS, which if it lost the Star Trek show, everybody would not sign up for it anymore. And it's got all of these great comics, so I think it's got a good shot. I'm excited for it.
Well, and they've got new shows like Young Justice Outsiders, the much anticipated 3rd season of the animated series, which we got an official trailer for today as well. So let's check out that while we're talking about it.
This is Kat Grant reporting live for GBS from the Markovian Royal Palace.
Meta-human trafficking is an international scourge. Children and teens are being abducted.
The way our daughter was. We have confirmation. On multiple worlds, Earth's metahumans are being deployed by the enemy as weapons of mass destruction.
Intel was on the money, Oracle. It's definitely another metahuman trafficking lab. Then let's shut them down.
I fear our operation may have been compromised.
Good luck, and welcome to the jungle.
Bulletproof. That's annoying.
We are on a mission in space.
Just like the Justice League.
Let's run it again.
Dick, we might want to...
Noted. We just want to leave.
Your trespass must be punished.
Wrong answer.
Young Justice Outsiders premiering January 4th, only on DC Universe. Join now.
So there you have it, only on DC Universe. Young Justice Outsiders, January 4th. Meta-human trafficking, Superboy is in there, maybe Superman will show up. So much to look forward to. Love this series, season 1 and 2. So happy that it's back after all these years.
It's got a good animation style. I was noticing it looks a little bit like that Castlevania show, which was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. I realized, though, I might have made an idiot out of myself back there. You were talking about the TV show streaming service, not the comic book streaming service. So I went and babbled about nothing. So are those two different services?
No, DC Universe is a TV streaming service, but also has comic books on it.
Okay, so that's why I was confused, because they were going to do that whole they did that with Marvel, though, where they had all the comics. So this is the comics and the TV service.
That's right, and movies.
So that's even better.
For
okay,
$75
so then I don't feel like
a
an
year.
idiot, and I'm going to definitely get it.
Yeah, I mean, $75 a year is nothing.
Yeah, no, it's compared to like even just buying one comic series.
Yes, yeah, I mean, exactly. You know, you buy a couple of trades and you're already there. So now the DC Universe digital streaming service is also putting select episodes of season 1 and 2 of Young Justice on the streaming service. Now with commentary from producers and cast, DC talent, and some of the biggest super fans on the planet. So you get to watch episodes of season 1 and 2 on DC Universe as well with commentary.
Nice.
And that starts December 4th. December... Where is it? December 4th, lasting a month, right up until January 4th, when the launch of the new Young Justice Outsiders series will begin. So, wow. Yes, it's a curated comic collection on DC Universe. There's not everything on there, not the whole back catalogue of DC Universe comic books, but you know, a great selection, and I'm sure, and it'll only expand as time goes on, I'm sure.
So, dumb question: is it going to have like Smallville, Lois and Clark, and Flash all the way back, or is it just the more recent series?
No. There will be. I think even the George Reeves Adventures of Superman might be on there as well. So,
yeah, there goes some more money.
Exactly. So, and if you sign up before December 17th. You go into a draw for a chance to win a one-of-a-kind Young Justice Outsiders experience where you get to visit WB Studios and talk to some of the creators of Young Justice Outsiders. So if you decide to do so, make sure you subscribe before December 17th.
Nice.
Cool. All right, well, let's push on and talk comic books. Now, there's a number of comic books coming out this week, but before we do get onto them, what are your thoughts on what Bendis has been doing with both Action Comics and Superman of late, Neil?
I was just talking to somebody about this, actually. I'm actually back in the comics where I wasn't so much before, especially with the New 52. The New 52 just made me drop off for the most part, even though there were some good stories told during there. But I followed Jurgens. Jurgens brought me back in.
To the rebirth.
And that's, very obviously my Superman. And I'm not going to be that guy that does I know this, and this is the thing that I loved, so it's the only important thing, because that's, toxic as hell. But I read it and enjoyed it, and I just did that the special that he did, that Jurgens did. But I followed along to Bendis because I liked Bendis genuinely before he came to DC. Mm-hmm. There were some issues with his writing style that became repetitive, and I think he's definitely got a lot more style going on. Like Jurgens was very much like, this is going to be a meaty story, and Bendis is like, I'm doing Superman, and this is going to be Superman you've never seen before, and he's jazzy and cool and awesome. That sounds very ridiculous the way I said it, because I am neither jazzy nor awesome. But I guess the point being, it has an aesthetic, it has a feel, and I really like it. I'm not sure if necessarily the story is anything unique or anything special. There were a couple of cool elements. Like, I really like the idea of people being like, don't say his name. don't say anything, and hiding. And I like what he's doing by separating Lois and Clark without doing the separation, just showing like we can do different things in different areas and showing that both characters stand alone on their own. I was very surprised to see the character that dropped this week. I don't know if we avoid spoilers. Do we avoid spoilers?
Go for it.
Okay. See, I liked seeing the question, but I was also conflicted because, as you know, I'm a very big fan of the Renee Montoya question. But I don't know where he's been in continuity, and I don't know if this is Vic, so I'm kind of holding my breath and going, and it's interesting to see him in Metropolis, because he's usually dropped into a darker setting, at least in the ones that I've read. And I think the question might actually be a good foil for Superman in a way that Batman is not. Batman is usually either play Batman who are like, or like, hey, chum! But like the question can genuinely have a different ethic and point of view, and yet still be seeking the same goals as Superman, and bringing that in is kind of neat. And the revelation about the journalist being the Red Cloud, that's kind of cool.
So there you have it. Comic books coming out this week. Let's go through what there is, because there is quite a bit of a list of comic books that fans will want to get onto, and just trying to grab the images right here. So let's go on to what we have available this week. We have, touching it there, Action Comics number 1005 out this week. Red Cloud revealed. Neil's given away some spoilers, but all good. It comes in a variant cover, a Christmas variant cover there. Superman carrying the bag of treats and presents. Also out this week, DC's Nuclear Winter Special number 1, 80-page giant, 10 cataclysmic carols. Not sure what that's all about, but I'm sure there's a Superman story involved in there somewhere. I think there's a Lois Lane story, actually. Out this week also is Aquaman Justice League Drowned Earth number 1, continuing or concluding the Drowned Earth saga. So that's also available in a movie version of the cover. So that's out this week as well. Injustice versus Masters of the Universe number 5, the 5th issue of this 6-issue miniseries, is out this week as well. As is Heroes in Crisis number 3, an interesting story that's continuing out this week, and that's available in a variant cover showing the death of Maxwell Lord, variant image there. Also out this week in trades, Action Comics Rebirth Deluxe Edition Book 3 is out this week, as is Superman Volume 7 Bizarroverse. That is out this week as well. Young Justice Book 3 is out in trade this week, and also on the DC Black Label, there is the DC Black Label version of All-Star Superman, and it's just they're republishing some classic stories under the DC Black Label imprint. So that is what is out this week. Make sure you get to them. Get to your local comic book store and check out these excellent comic books out this week. Cool. Anything there that kind of caught your attention other than Action Comics 1005?
I didn't notice about the Masters of the Universe thing. I did not know they were doing another He-Man series. I'm a geeky old He-Man guy, but the idea of Injustice versus Masters of the Universe is a strange pairing. I'm curious about that. Yeah.
Interesting. It has been quite an interesting story. Now, in Italy this week, just to go off the topics of comic books, but in publications, the United Nations Refugee Agency, UNHCR, is publishing a book in Italian titled Anche Superman era un rifugiato, which, my Italian's not that great, but translates to Superman was a refugee too. Now, this book pays tribute to famous refugees from the past and present, from reality and fiction, including Superman. Your thoughts?
Oh, I think that it's a pretty darn good parallel to draw, and I think it's necessary right now. I think we have a situation where a lot of people are demonizing refugees and the other, and to present Superman as a positive role model of refugees, I think is a very important thing, especially in a place that has such a rich history of fascism, to put it bluntly. Like that it's now working very hard to make the other less demonized, and to present Superman as hope for that problem, which everyone seems to be having trouble addressing. It's great.
Now, people in the comments have been asking a few questions just that we've kind of skipped over. Tina asks, does the DC Universe have new comic books on there? I don't think new comic books are part of the DC Universe subscription. You can still get them on the DC Comics app and Comixology app. So I don't think that the new comic books are part of the DC Universe live streaming service. From a little bit earlier, John was asking about what Lena was experimenting on, that guy in the latest episode of Supergirl. She's trying to give people superpowers, human beings, normal human beings, superpowers to kind of level the playing field. But that didn't work out. And yes, sadly, spoiler alert, that test subject passed away. So sadly there. And yes, that is a real book. Superman Superman was a refugee too is a real book. It's only in Italian. Only released in Italy by that agency, so I'm sure it'll probably be released on Amazon or one of those digital services as well. So, in iBooks or, one of those other digital book services, I'm sure you might be able to pick it up sooner or later. It hasn't been released yet that I'm aware of, but it will be out shortly. Now, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that all happened this past weekend. Did you buy anything? Was there anything that was they were up to 75% off some of the Superman items that we were advertising? It's just ridiculous.
Well, I didn't buy anything Superman, but that's not because it wasn't a great deal. It's because, I have so much Superman stuff from over the years. I ended up buying a couple of cheap video games. That's my vice. I get a role-playing game that I could play for 60 hours for $10.
Nice. Very nice. So, that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's episode. Neil, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I don't think Michael got the opportunity to call in and give us his views on being there at the Superman the movie screening, the 40th anniversary. But he will be back next week, so we'll be able to get in person on video his reactions to that screening. But thank you so much for stepping in and filling in for him while he was away this week. Really appreciate it. It's been great chatting with you again.
No problem. Just remember, he's the good twin and I'm the evil twin, and we are not related. Look, see the beard? Wait, no, he has a beard. I'm so confused. Either way, you're more than welcome. It's a blast being back. Thank you for having me.
No problem whatsoever. Really been cool catching up with you. And everyone in the chat room is saying thank you as well. So very enjoyable having you on. Well, that brings us to the end of tonight's episode. Before we do sign off, I'd like to thank everyone for watching tonight's episode of WGBS TV Live, and thank you to those in the Facebook comments for participating in the show. And a huge thank you to our sponsor, Douglas Meacham. Now remember, if you want to sponsor the Superman homepage, and we do need your support, please head to patreon.com/Superman homepage, where you too can be a sponsor for as little as $3, and that's like less than a coffee. So if you want to get involved, please help us out. Now, the complete 1-hour video of tonight's show will remain available on the Superman homepage website and our Facebook page if you'd like to watch it back or perhaps miss part of the show. But I'll be back next week with Michael Bailey on Tuesday, December 4th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for another edition of WGBS TV Live. Look forward to talking with you then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice. On behalf of myself and Neil Bailey, thank you for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.